Hello and welcome back to Adorabuild. My name is Ruth and my little dog is called Pucky, and in today's video we are going to be checking out my remark of all the Whisker Haven sets. Now these sets were around in 2016 and 2017, so they are a few years old. But before we get into that portion of the video, I do really want to welcome another mini doll to my Lego city. And today we are welcoming Nikola Kimpton, who is someone that I follow over on Instagram, and she has a fantastic Instagram account full of all these wonderful little knitted animals that she creates. So definitely go and check out her Instagram if you think that that type of a thing is your aesthetic. So moving on, I thought that it would be really nice for us to take a look at each of the individual sets through the Whisker Haven theme before we move on to actually seeing the re-MOC'ed petting zoo creation that I have made. So first up we do have this set called Treasure's Day at the Pool, and Treasure is a gorgeous little red cat who is supposed to be aligned to Ariel the mermaid. Unfortunately, in all of the Whisker Haven sets, we never actually got a princess mini doll, which I thought was a real shame. I think that some of these sets would have really benefited from having the princess included, as well as the gorgeous little palace pet. Next up we have Daisy's Beauty Salon, and Daisy is this gorgeous little yellow dog, and Daisy is Rapunzel's friend. So moving along, we do have Pumpkin's Royal Carriage, and no surprises here, Pumpkin is all about Cinderella, and this particular carriage is so reminiscent of so many of the Cinderella sets that we have seen before. The final set that we received in 2016 is the Palace Pets Royal Castle, which included not one but two little animals. The first one is called Beauty, which is this fantastically cute little pink cat who is aligned to Aurora or Sleeping Beauty. And the final animal that we get in this set is Windflower, which is this gorgeous little blue raccoon, which happens to be aligned to Pocahontas, and we're still waiting for a Pocahontas mini doll. So then we only received two sets in 2017. So the first one is Berry's Kitchen, and Berry is this beautiful blue rabbit. I think that this is such a fun little character and a gorgeous little mould. And Berry is part of Snow White's little animal friendship group. And last up we have Petit's Royal Stable, and Petit is this gorgeous little yellow and pink pony, and Petit is aligned to Belle from Beauty and the Beast. So there we have all the Palace Pet sets. So before we move on to the final version of my remark, let's just take a look at a couple of the basic ideas that I started with. So first up, I knew that I wanted to combine all of these sets into one build, and I thought that this build would fit in really well as part of my amusement park, and therefore I thought that it would be really super cute to create some sort of very fancy petting zoo area for all of these little palace pets to hang out together and to have a gorgeous little place to stay and play. However, once I started to have a little bit of a look at this build, it seemed like the ground floor and the gardens were really well integrated with each other, and it seemed like the same build. However, the section on the first floor just seemed to be quite plopped there, and it wasn't really integrated, and it was all just very bitty. So I wanted to revisit that. So once I was able to create something that I really enjoyed as part of that, I then had my final build. So let's go and take a look at that now. So here we have the final version of my re-MOC'ed, and this particular side is the side that I would consider the front of the build, and therefore I have done my best to try and place as many of the little palace pets facing in this direction. So I do really like these gorgeous little sticker details that came with some of the sets, and I have tried to keep the overall feel of these builds very consistent. If we turn the build to the side, you can see that I have focused on Pumpkin's little carriage. I did remove the wheels because they were causing a lot of issues in order to get the build to fit in right. And then I also have a couple of little tree areas that sort of frame up that side. This particular panel of the build I'm not 100% happy with. I think it doesn't really mesh well together, but it'll do for now, and I don't think that a lot of people will be paying attention to that section of the build anyway. So now let's turn the build around so it is facing the back. And you can see here that it does look very similar to the front. There are slightly different little details around here, but again, I did want to make sure that it was very, very similar and very reminiscent. I do really like these pieces as well, but I thought that it would be much more interesting to actually have space here and gap here on the front of the build so we can display some items or animals. Now let's move around to the final side. So once again, this area here isn't particularly interesting or that spectacular, but I do think that most people will be paying more attention to the little pool and swimming areas anyway. So I did really want to maintain most of this build and make sure that that was very consistent with how it appeared originally, and I particularly liked this sticker piece here as well, so I thought that was fantastic. And then I also really liked the build for the little cute diving board too, so I thought that that would be a really fantastic little inclusion on this side of the Palace Pets re-MOC'ed. So there we have my re-MOC'ed build. I'm really happy with how it came out. Obviously there are a few little things that I may change at some point in the future, so for now I think I will just leave it as is and potentially make any changes once it gets placed into the city. As always, I do hope that you have enjoyed this video and checking out my re-MOC'ed creation of these slightly older sets. It would be fantastic if you could give this video a huge like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Until my next video, take care of yourselves and bye bye!